we've invited two students, and I'll invite them up in a minute to share their experiences with us. First, I'm going to invite up Daisy Gonzalez, Deputy Chancellor of the California Community Colleges, and she's going to chat with Rebecca Galicia and Mariam Shamoun about their experiences. Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez sees promoting student access and success strategies as her calling, and her leadership is helping the community college system move to the next level as it implements major reforms. So join me in welcoming Deputy Chancellor Gonzalez, Rebecca Galicia, and Mariam Shamoun.
Can you guys hear us? Oh, this is perfect. So while our students get situated, I wanted to just provide some opening remarks about the California Community Colleges and why I care so much about this work. Those of you who have heard me speak before know that I grew up in foster care since the age of 2, and that I had a lot of help to get here today. I grew up in foster care, and I remember hating math. And one of those reasons was because I had an economics high school teacher that would sit all of the Latinos in the back of the class. And again, those of you who heard me speak have heard this story. And when I asked why the Latinos had to sit in the back, my friend and I got a response, and he said, because none of you will ever go to college. So we made it our goal to go to college. But I could have never imagined that as a child, I would grow up to become the second most important person in the largest system of public higher education in the entire nation. That was something I never dreamed of. What I did dream about when I was 11 years old was graduating from high school, because that was the expectation that everyone had of someone like me. Today, we are involved with the community colleges with designing systems that are student-centered. So it's very fitting, Pamela, that we're starting our day with students at the center of our learning and our listening. And a part of the work that we're doing is implementing a bill that was actually led by many partners in this room, including the campaign by Myra and Katie Hearn, and that is AB 705. A bill that I actually analyzed in 2017. So if you read the analysis, you know that my job was to kill that bill. But I didn't. We knew at that time, because of the campaign, that it was a monumental moment to make history in our system. And we knew that it was a calling to provide students with a right to get access to transfer-level math and English. We ended up amending the bill, and it got out of the Assembly Appropriations Committee only to make it all the way to the governor's desk, and it got signed. A year later, I took on this role to help implement the bill. We've learned two things since implementing. Number one, 60% of our students could already succeed. They didn't need our help. They just needed an opportunity, which is why they go to college, which is why they enter community colleges. And roughly the other 40%, what we have learned so far, is that if we provide them the right resources and opportunities, they will succeed. So in fact, the real transformation is really about, yes, structures, but really transforming our hearts and minds, as Chancellor Oakley likes to say. Transforming our hearts to believe that our students have the capacity to succeed, that we are courageous enough to change and dismantle structures that have perpetuated power and inequality in our higher education and K-12 systems, and to provide students with resources and opportunities. So thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca and Mariam. I went to Mills College, so I'm going to start with you, Rebecca. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you here to this place today.
So I'm a parent, and I have 5 children, and I didn't get the opportunity to go to college right out of high school because, again, I'm a Latina, and my parents just went to work, and I was just told to get a good job, a union job, and, I'd be fine. And going through school, I had a lot of anxiety behind math because my parent had a lot of anxiety behind math and could not help me during high school or even elementary school. And I just remember sitting in the classroom most of the time, and I'd have to get pulled out and go to special classes while everybody else got to stay in the class. So I kind of was like ostracized, which I internalized as I was dumb. And also going home and trying to get help, and I wasn't able to get help. And at the time, one of my parents, I was actually punished for not understanding math. So I went through school hating math, and I did the minimum. And I never thought about going to college. Like, I knew they had like this college center where you can go and get, all this information so you can go. But I never knew that that applied to me. So when I always wanted to be a nurse, that was my thing. But I found out like it was so much math. I was like, I'm not doing that, because I was like, I can't even do algebra. How am I going to be able to do this, for nursing? So anyways, long story short, I ended up being able to get an opportunity to go to the community college, and I went through College of Alameda. I failed 2 math classes there, the remedial classes, and I went to my counselor because it was like finally the last semester before I can transfer, and I had to get statistics done. And I would have had to be there for 2 more years in order to even transfer to Mills College, where I'm at now. But I talked to my counselor, Charles Washington, and he referred me to this new class that Vanson was teaching in the combination support class. I don't remember the math number, but so we had the support class, and I was able to, first Vanson approached me and told me about, my anxiety. First, you have anxiety and you got to get past that in order to even be open up to being successful in math. Once I was able to do that, I ended up passing the class with an A, but we had support. We had an extra support team that we'd be able to have our own tutor for our class and actually go step by step through it. Not only that, but Vanson being the professor wasn't just, he gave us the power to know that we can do it ourselves. So we used to work together before even being able to ask him questions about statistics. And part of it is being very patient with the students and letting them know that they can do this and that it's not as difficult, but a lot of it has to do with patience. So that was my experience.
Thank you, Rebecca. Miriam, same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to this moment. And I know that Rebecca shared her big dream. So what's your big dream?
My big dream right now is to work in the public system as a civil engineer. That's my big dream. But if you ask that to 13-year-old Miriam, she would have never dreamed that, because she never thought that she could have had that opportunity. When I first started high school, I liked math. I thought it was a fun subject. It wasn't something I liked or hated. It was just a subject that I went to. And when you're in high school, you are pressured to take the honors and the AP classes for math. And while I generally did good in the other classes, math, it was a subject that I couldn't really take accelerated. But I still took it because that's what everybody was taking. That's what my friends were taking, and that's what the counselors were saying. Oh, yes, you'll get into a good college if you do this. And so I ended up taking honors geometry my freshman year of high school. And when I got handed back my very first exam, I had a 38. I still remember it was a 38%. And the teacher didn't say anything. He said, drop the class because you can't do this. And I didn't drop the class. I ended up having a C the first semester because of the 38, even though I tried my best, and I ended up C with the first semester, and I really wanted to prove him wrong, and I got an A the second semester. But somehow he still had that perception that I shouldn't take other math classes other advanced math classes. He would always tell me, oh, I think you should, maybe next semester don't take it, go to the other class. And I really wanted to prove it, that I could do it, but his words struck with me somehow. I shouldn't have let it get to me, but you're 13 and your teacher tells you this isn't the class you should take, and you have a 38% in the first exam, so your confidence goes down, and especially amongst your peers. And so I ended up spending all of high school really dreading math because I never really ended up getting the foundation. I went to Algebra 2, I went to Pre-Calc, I ended up failing Pre-Calc because I didn't understand any of the foundations of math. Because I didn't succeed in the very earlier courses, and nobody told me I could do it, and so I ended up letting it get to me and just saying, well, I can't do it. He said I can't do it. He's older, he's a teacher, so he must know I can't do it because he's seen this pattern amongst students, and I let it get to me. And so when I got to college, I just told myself, okay, no STEM majors because obviously you're bad at math, so let's focus on the humanities. And I settled on political science because I like all subjects, but I ended up choosing political science just because it was something I was just naturally good at. I liked to read and I liked stories, and political science to me was like I'd read about political figures and it was fun. And but I still had to take a statistics class, and I had to take a core requisite with it. And that was the one class I was dreading, and I took it with Professor Shelley Ruderman. And the very first week of class, she showed us a video saying that growth mindset, that our minds aren't fixed at a certain intelligence level, that they're always expanding and growing, and we can learn more and more if we just apply ourselves. And I took it a goal. I saw that as a goal for myself. I said, I'm going to get an A. I'm going to get an A in math, and I'll just feel good. I want an A because I spent all of high school hating it, and I didn't want to have that same experience in college. And so after that video, I told her, Professor Ruderman, I want an A in your class, and I'm going to get an A in your class. And she told me, yeah, and she told me I could do it. And if I just worked hard enough, she told me, you can come to my office hours whenever you want. And she would always come by. Every time I had a question, she would always answer it. And she just had this really positive attitude. And she looked at me, and she really thought I could do it. And that gave me the confidence that I could do it. And so I ended up liking math so much in that class. I was finally learning the basics, that because it was a core requisite class, it was an additional hour where we could learn basic algebra. And I learned basic algebra, and it finally clicked. It made sense. This is why it was happening. And so I told her I want to take the next level of math. And she told me, well, maybe you should try taking pre-calculus. And that worried me because I failed pre-calc in high school. But I took it again, and I still wanted to be on the safe side, so I still took it again with a core requisite. It was with Alyssa Krause this time. And it was those two classes were the best two classes I have ever taken probably in my college career. It was so nice because we would have a little bit of lecture and a little bit of group time where we could work and discuss and help each other. And it was so nice because sometimes I would help other people and sometimes other people could help me. And it was just a collaborated learning experience that I really, really did enjoy. And that's how I ended up changing my major, because I wanted to do math, and I figured I could go into engineering, and I didn't really know which engineering I wanted to take, and so I took a beginning engineering class where it talks about all the different disciplines, and finally I settled on civil, and I really do enjoy civil, and I like it, and then, yeah, that's my story.
So this group of folks here are here to redesign and really rethink math and how do we help students succeed. And both of you have actually already beat the odds. Nationwide, 1 out of 5 community college students actually transfers to a four-year college or university. Both of you are now at four-year institutions. So when you think back at your experience in math, and where you are today, right? Math in a four-year institution. What are those three things from your early lessons of that moment when you realize, wait, math is for me, right? It's not that it's hard, it's just challenging, right? With the right supports, I can do this. What are those three things that folks should remember as they go throughout their day?
I would say that hard work really does pay off, because I thought it was math, it's a natural given gift, but it's not. You have to practice, which I did, and that's how I got through it. I mean, the second thing is that don't be afraid to ask for help, because it's never a dumb question. It's a question that you genuinely have, and you should get it answered. And that's something that I think a lot of students have to understand, is that if you have a question, ask it, because it might help you and another person that has it, but they're just too afraid to ask. And I would say for the teachers, that's the third thing, is to give words of encouragement to your students, because they mean more than you would think.
What about you, Rebecca?
I would have to say consistency, and being consistent with, like Miriam said, to make sure that you can use all the resources that you can that the college has to offer, because there are a lot. So to be resourceful, and also for the professors, they make a big impact on your life, and the things that are said really stick with you. And it just takes that one professor or counselor to give you that motivation. And I just wanted to say that I have one of my daughters that's now in College of Alameda, and going through these steps. But I feel like now that I have the knowledge to give to her, so that she's able to succeed in this, because she also has the math anxiety that I had, and negative experience with math. So just being able to advocate for other students. Yeah.
So Miriam, you transferred from Cuyamaca, and in our system, they're known as one of the top leaders for thinking about how we transform math. If you think about your experience, can you tell us a little bit more about what actually worked, right? What were they doing right that helped you succeed?
I would say that what they're doing that is excellent is the prereqs. They got rid of a prereq and made it into a core rec, and so it saves time when you're trying to transfer. It pushes you a semester ahead, or it doesn't push you a semester. So you don't have to take a semester as a filler where you have to get back on track into a transfer level math. And so I didn't have to do that, even though I'm guessing I was supposed to, because I had to take a core rec. And I'm eternally thankful for that, because I saved money and time, and I did learn, and it helped me, and it's proof that it works. And so I'm really grateful that they did that. It works.
And then Rebecca, you mentioned being resourceful. What type of resources did you use at College of Alameda College?
Everything. So I went to the office hours. I went to the tutoring centers. I talked with other students who have previously taken those classes, because everybody has a different perspective. So being able to talk with other students, they have other tools that you can use that may be helpful to you. Yeah.
So I was reading your bios, and both of you mentioned that you were first-generation college students. What does that mean when you enter an educational system that doesn't quite believe in your ability to succeed? And what advice do you have for that next generation of first-gen students?
It's weird, because I've always had anxiety towards applying to colleges or universities or any of the educational matters, because I didn't really have anybody help me with it. I know a lot of people, my friends, they were filling out applications and doing all these things, and it was like, oh, how'd you do it? Oh, my mom helped me, my sister helped me, and it's like, oh, that's cool. And it was kind of hard, because I had to do all of that on my own. I had to kind of learn it. It was some things that I didn't know about, a lot of resources I didn't know about. And so when you enter an institution and you're a first generation college student, there's an expectation placed on you by your family and by the institution. The institution thinks that, oh, you might not even transfer, you're just here and you're going to dwindle out amongst the rest. And your family thinks, oh, let's give this a shot, let's see how it goes. And it's like, oh, are you wasting money? Are you wasting time? Maybe you should be working. And it's all these expectations, and I guess, and so you have to fight those, and you have to prove to yourself and them that being a first generation college student is I don't have a less intelligence level than any other person that's had a history of college graduates. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that their family went to college and mine didn't. And there's no shame in that, I would say. I guess it's when you're first starting out, it's a little shameful, I guess. Or you're just embarrassed, but I'm not embarrassed anymore.
For me, the motivation was a little different because I have children. And I knew that I wanted, And I knew that I wanted them to be able to pursue a college education so that they would be able to have a decent life without struggling. Because life was really a struggle for me. So I'm a lot older student, so I don't take no as an answer.
You like winning.
So I'm gonna go and ask a million questions. I don't have the fear of worried about what my peers are gonna think. I mean, if it's a stupid question, then it's a stupid question. But I know that there's no stupid question if you don't ask the question. So I really went into it. Like Miriam said, I didn't have nobody to look back and say, "Oh, what did you do?" I'm applying for grad school, and I'm still every stage is like, "Okay, what do I do now?" And thank goodness for professors and counselors. Like I was in the EOPS
Program. EOPS.
program. Yeah, sorry, it's really emotional. But without them, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't be where I am today without Vanson or Charles. Like I still have relationships with them, and I'm able to go to these conferences and be able to speak for other students, which is why I'm going into social work, because I want to be resourceful for students like me, and I know that I didn't have the worst situation, so. Yeah, I just, everything that I know, I share with all my students, my children, their friends. And, I don't take no from them as an answer. And I push them. I mean, I literally take them to the school and be like, come on, let's sit down and do this schedule, because scheduling is even hard. Knowing that you can get to a counselor, knowing that there's the EOPS program for us that are the marginalized students. Without that information, you just walk in there, because there's several times that I've applied for college and community college and got in there, and it was like, oh, there's nobody to help me, nobody can ask me, I'm going from here to there, so I dropped out. So yeah.
So Rebecca is graduating from Mills College next year, and she's applying to master's program. I'm going to ask you a question that I've been thinking about the entire ride here from Sacramento. Everyone wants to know, do you hate math?
Oh.
I love math now.
Yeah?
I
Why?
do. It's fun. It's so weird to say, but I've come such a long way where now I go home and I get into the groove of solving the problems, and I see a pattern and I see the logic behind it, and it just becomes fun. It's logic, and it's like a puzzle, and you're fixing it. It's like a game, and once you learn the rules, you can play it. And that's just what I tutored high school students, and I told them, once you understand the rules, you can play the game however you want. And I always showed them that there's not always one way to solve a problem. There's so many different ways that you can solve a problem. And I think that's also something that's broken with the system, is that their teachers always told them, you have to solve it this way. And I told them, you don't always have to solve it this way. Think about it logically. Think about it how you want to solve it. We've learned so many techniques, and you can solve it any way you want, and you can always double check with other techniques. And I guess that's just something that I told them, learn the rules and you can play the game, and that's how math is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you hate math?
No. No. And I know that I have to take another statistics class, and I'm like, I'm ready for it. I'm like, whatever. Let's go. And also the other thing is that going through all these steps of math and having the struggle and the pain with it, like there's a beauty in it too, because without that, I wouldn't be able to talk or be able to advocate for other students. And the fact is that we use math every day, we just don't realize it. So, especially now with doing social work or, social sciences, there's a lot of statistics. It's math. And you just don't know it,
I thought I hated math, and I actually did horrible at Mills and statistics. I tried to get out of it, which was ironic because then I ended up becoming the youngest policy consultant in the state assembly, and I was responsible for $11.2 billion at the age of 24, which I thought was how ironic, right, that I hated math. But I realized that I didn't actually hate math. I didn't like my teachers. And it wasn't until that amazing professor that I had where it clicked, just like you two have described. There's a lot of research that says that good teachers are culturally sensitive, culturally competent. Tell us a little about that one professor, or as many as you want. What was it about them, beyond believing in you, right, that got you to this moment?
She was so kind and to everybody, and she believed in everybody. I mean, I knew there was an older lady. She was an older. I believe she was in her 90s, and she was taking the class, and she was just taking it for fun. I mean, she didn't have anything else to do, so she just took it. And I mean, that's what she told us. She told us that she just wanted something to do, and I guess she took it. And she had a lot of questions to ask. She hasn't been in a classroom for a very long time, and she had so many questions to ask. And I saw the way that every time that my professor, Shelley Ruderman, answered her question, she always answered it in the most genuine manner and in the most respectful manner. And even though some of the questions were very basic, but I could see in her face that she answered it in such a clear and concise manner, and she just respected her so much. And that, to me, it really opened my eyes to her, and I said, wow, like this is the kind of professor I want to have for the rest of my college career. She respected every single person, even though she knew that the older woman is probably not gonna go get a degree and work a job. She's a retired woman, but she just was taking it for fun, and she had a lot of questions to ask, and she answered it. And to me, that signified how good of a professor she was, because she wasn't just trying to give the younger students a chance, because they have to graduate, they have to work, they have to do all this. She believed in the knowledge and the power of knowledge, and not just a grade. She really wanted us to learn, and that's what made me like her so much.
For me, my professor, which is here, Vanson, in his class made a difference for me, because it wasn't this hierarchy where he was the teacher and we were the students, and it makes a really big difference to have that down-to-earth person. And part of it too, I believe that not every professor is for every student, meaning like when you go choose a physician, you want that physician that you can actually have that rapport with. And that's what I got from Vanson. And he didn't let me just give up or fail. He really talked to us and made sure that, we could be successful. Maybe we might not get it that first class with him. We might have to come back and take it again, but that we can get it. So, yeah.
Thank you. We're doing not good on time? We're at time?
We're basically at time.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and expertise. Thank you.